right. Well, good afternoon, guys. Uh, Give me 1 second here. I want to make sure we're up and running okay. Um, Can't seem to verify. Here we go. Ah, aha. Excellent. There we go. Now I can see. I couldn't see the comments. That's what I was trying to do. Well, guys, uh, hello. Well, good afternoon. Sort of a bit of an impromptu live stream here. Um, GW, it's kind of funny. The reason I'm able to do this is I took a half day today for a completely different reason, and I had some extra time before I needed to leave for my other other engagement. So I had figured, well, this is perfect. GW coincided with my schedule, um, so yeah, obviously we got some rules for Black Templars specifically, which is really exciting. I'm really pumped about these, and let's talk about them because there is, even though there's only the detachment and the faction and the Sword Brethren data sheet to talk about. I feel like there's a lot to talk about because it's really exciting. So uh, let's get into it. So first up, let's talk about the detachment rules. So we have the Righteous Crusaders is the name of our detachment. As a lot of us hoped and even expected a little bit, we get vows. So our vows are pretty awesome because it's they're very similar to what we were previously, except there's no passions now. We have no downsides to our vows. And at the start of the first battle round, so this is also a change. So currently, our vows are after we see our enemies, our opponent's list, is when we make our decision. Before we see the mission, before we determine all that stuff, once we see our opponent's list, we're able to choose our vow. This is at the start of the first battle round, so you can even change it up, what you're thinking that you might do, depending on how deployment goes, who goes first. So a little bit more tactical flexibility here, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, so let's start looking at these. So, suffer not the unclean to live. Melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have the lethal hits ability. So, this is basically what it is now. When we are in melee, we get auto wounds on sixes to hit. It's exactly the same. The big difference is this now works on anything, um, including vehicles and monsters and whatnot. Previously didn't work on vehicles, and it also had the worst passion. of any of our vows, so it was very rarely taken. This is actually really good now into knights, into monster mash for nids, into giant demon, greater demon spam. Any army where you're going to face a lot more toughness than you might otherwise. Melee weapons auto hit, auto wound, excuse me, on sixes with this, with lethal hits. So this is really good, really great. Um, Vow. Casey says the Gucci detachment is real and can hurt you. Yes, yes, it is. I love it. So, so yeah. B. Dakin says I like all the new vows being viable. There's clear better choices versus specific matches, but there's still an argument for all of them. Yes, I love that as well, because it's one of those things that's you know, right now, there's only really uphold. We're back to that basically. So this gives us a lot more options. So speaking of uphold, let's take a look at that. Uphold the honor of the emperor. Models in this unit have a feel no pain 6+ ability and a leadership characteristic of 5+. Now, some of you were talking in the chat earlier today about, we're gonna miss that 5+ invul. Yeah, maybe to a certain extent. But a 6+ feel no pain just across the entire army, including our vehicles, is a pretty good compensation in place of that. I haven't done the math, but I feel like it's going to be pretty close to equivalent. Here's the other advantage: is this works for our even our like if we're running a lot of storm shield units or units with invulnerable saves like Terminators or even Blade Guard vets. This is going to be useful for them, and also uh, it's one of those things that where lethality is going to be down is down across the board for anti-infantry. We're not going to see nearly as much high AP anti-infantry weapons as we do in ninth. So our 3+ save means more in 10th edition than it does in ninth edition. So I think that's definitely worth considering. Sammy says when your chainsword is your anti-tank weapon. Exactly. I like it. So, so yeah. So, and then the other part of this is the leadership value of 5+. This is pretty important. Battle shock is pretty mean right now, and this helps us if we want to run large blocks of Crusaders. So, large Crusaders that are going to be vulnerable to battle shock once they're down below 10. They're going to be at, you know, throwing a battle shock test every round. The other thing is the Feel No Pain helps large Crusaders as well because they're going to, uh, you know, be able to survive longer. Neophyte with that 6+ save to negate, one damage weapons here and there to stay alive on one wound will be awesome. So yeah. The problem with this, Lux says, the problem with this is I already have an army-wide 6+ Field playing because of Grimaldus with Crusaders, helmet, and an Apothecary. That's true. However, auras like that are going away, right? So we can't really compare it to ninth because a lot of the big buffing multiple units or even, uh, almost your entire army or castling like that with lots of buffs is going away in general. Characters are going to be attached to the unit, so Grimaldus will still probably provide great buffs. We have to wait and see what it's going to be. But the cool thing about it is that we can attach him to a 20-man Crusader squad, and then get this in addition to whatever Grimaldus gives. So, so yeah. Um, so the leadership will help keep us from being battle shocked, which is going to be very important. Abhor the Witch, Destroy the Witch. Models in this unit have a 4+ invulnerable save against psychic attacks, and melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have a anti-psyker 4+ ability. So this is much better than our current Abhor the Witch. 4+ against all the psychic attacks that Grey Knights, even demons, Thousand Suns can chuck out. Even Eldar is going to be really nice. And the other cool thing about this is the anti ability. So, anti psyker 4 plus. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, but I don't need to. Most of my stuff is, unless it's a big demon or something, I'm probably going to be wounding them on a 4 plus anyway. But here's where something that's important that comes in. When you have melee weapons, such as a Thunder Hammer, for example, which has devastating wounds causes mortal wounds equal to the damage on a 6 to wound, which is a critical, what they call it a critical wound. So on critical wounds, which is an unmodified 6 to wound, uh, it causes mortal wounds. When you have anti causes a critical wound on whatever that number is. So that means against a psyker unit, our thunder hammers on a 4 plus to wound are causing mortals instead. And as we're going to see in a second, we can have damage 3 thunder hammers in our sword bro squads. So that's pretty dope. And we can have a full squad of thunder hammers in assault terminators. So that's pretty awesome, which I'm really looking forward to. So yeah. And then the last one, which is accept any challenge, no matter the odds. Melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have sustained one hits ability. So basically exploding sixes, but army wide, which is pretty fantastic. So none of these are bad. They are all excellent. They all have a use case, depending on who you're facing. So I really like all of these. I'm super excited to start doing some math and figuring out which vow is going to be best against which army. I feel like that should be maybe another tier list that we do. When we talk about the vows, what vow do we want to use against what army? So I'm really looking forward to diving in to that. Giels says, "Hello, my holy brothers. Hello, thank you for joining us." All right, so let's take a look at some of the comments here. We've talked a little bit about that. B. Dakin says, claws are gone, period. They are power weapons now. Yeah, so as we're going to look here at the Sword Brethren data sheet, which, let me click over to that. There you go. As we're looking at the Sword Brethren data sheet, it's there's no claws. Now, I don't know if that's a mistake and they're going to be there in the index or they're going to be there in our supplement. I don't know, but for now, the claws are just power weapons, which is a bit unfortunate. We do still have the Thunder Hammer in there, which I like, um, but um, but yeah. So uh, we'll have to see. I really love the look of the claw guys, so obviously still gonna run them. You know, it's just one of those things. We'll have to see. Obviously, claws aren't gone completely from the game because we saw on the what do you call it, Deathwing Terminator sheet, lightning claws are giving the twin linked rule, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, David says they're going to assume that they goofed in the claws in the data sheet. You know, it's entirely possible. I can understand like a single claw being, uh, you know, just a power weapon, but twin claws doing something different. Uh, I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see when when the indexes come out. So let's take a look at this data sheet proper here. So right out of the gate, they have 3 wounds now, which is a huge buff. A lot of people complained, why don't Sword Brethren have 3 wounds? They're on 40 millimeter bases like Blade Guard. How did they end up with only 2 wounds? Well, GW listened, and they've got 3 wounds now, which is a huge buff for them. Yes, they still don't have an invulnerable save. That's okay because lethality has gone down, and it will give some separation of them with Blade Guard, I think, which basically allows the Blade Guard to be like the tanky Primaris power armor unit, and the Sword Brethren to be the killy one, right? Because man, are these guys killy. So, looking at their data sheet, of course, they have the faction ability Oath of Moment. They have another ability called Vow Sworn Bladesman, which I believe is their current one, is named that as well, which means that they ignore passions in ninth edition. In 10th edition, it does something so much better. At the start of the fight phase, you can select one of the following effects to apply to melee weapons equipped by models in this unit until the end of the phase. And option one is add one to the attacks characteristics of those weapons, or add one to the damage characteristics of those weapons. Whew, man, that's so exciting. I cannot wait to use this. It's so versatile because, oh, I'm fighting two wound models or multi wound models. Cool, I'm adding to the damage. Oh, it's a whole bunch of guardsmen or Eldar. Extra attacks, baby. So this is really, really powerful and really awesome, and it's perfect for with them. And if some of you remember, I think Bob said that at one point he sent GW an email and suggested some changes, and both of these were suggestions. So it looks like they listened, and we got the option for both, which is pretty awesome. So, yeah, Patrick says it also looks like the leader gets a combi weapon. Yes, funny you should say that, because as we look at this thing, we'll notice that there is a combi weapon and a mastercrafted power weapon that hits on twos. So it seems, obviously, we know that the Sword Brethren kit can build five Sword Brethren or four Sword Brethren, and currently a Castellan, who's the dude in the picture with the combi weapon, the combi plasma right here. Now, it seems like presumably, I believe we're still getting a Castellan datasheet because Castellans are our equivalent of lieutenants. But it seems like they've given the Sword Bros a squad leader who can take that combi weapon and the Mastercrafted power weapon and hit on twos. So I'm pretty okay with that, actually. He starts out with the damage two weapon, hitting on twos. When we add that damage characteristic, now we've got another three damage weapon in the squad. It's basically like having Sword of Judgment in there, um, which is pretty cool. So I like that. The combi weapons, we've talked a little bit about this. They're very weird to me. I don't understand the change to combi weapons, them just all lumping them together into this one weird profile that doesn't do much. Um, it's a single attack. It is rapid fire, so inside 12 you get two shots. It's anti-infantry 4 plus, which means, and it's got devastating wounds, which means that you're gonna cause a mortal wound on a 4 up to wound, which is okay, I guess. Um, I did kind of like the versatility of being able to, pick combi weapons. But at the same time, I guess the reason why they're doing this is because they uh, don't have enough combi weapons in the boxes, like Stern Guard specifically, to really like make a whole squad of one type of weapon, and they didn't want you to be stuck with weird choices like I have one combi plasma and I can take one combi flamer and two combi meltas or something. That's my only thing was why maybe they changed it this way. Uh, so I don't know. We will see. But heavy bolt pistol is unchanged, 18 inches, strength 4, AP -1, so that's fine. Plasma pistol is as expected, it's 12-inch, 3 up. It's got hazardous when you supercharge it, which now they've dropped a pip of AP on plasma. It's now AP2 base. But now when you supercharge it, it goes up +1 strength, +1 AP, and +1 damage. So, which is pretty good. And then the Pyre Pistol, it lost its AP, however, it did gain Strength 4. So similar to the Pyre Blaster, which lost its AP but gained a pip of Strength. Um, it's done that. It's got Ignores Cover Pistol and Torrent, of course. Something that I like about the Pyre Pistol, to be honest, the AP was nice, but being strength 4 on the pistol, I think, is a much better buff than being strength 5 on the Pyre Blaster. So we'll have to see what that says, or how that goes, I should say. Let's see. Check out some of the comments here. Happy to see a buff on Sword Brethren. Such an iconic for unit for BT. Yeah, absolutely. 10 chain swords, all damage 2. Yep. Or 10 power swords, all damage 2 is also pretty gross. Um, so as far as we know, we lost advance reroll or advance reroll, advance and charge, and the 5+ versus mortal wounds. Yes, well, we have lost that. These are our rules now. But you know what? It's okay because all the chapters lost their chapter tactics. A lot of armies lost a lot of special rules. So it's okay. I feel like we're still very much Black Templars. We're very flavorful. Um, and that's just the case that uh, of what GW has done, going forward with 10th, which I'm fine with. I think they've done a great job of keeping all the flavor of the factions. Um, so, you know, I'm okay with it. And plus, we still haven't seen what the enhancements are. So we could get some cool stuff, for that. Alex says captains give reroll charges for their unit. There you go. So makes those marshals all that much more important, right? So let's take a look at the melee weapons. So as per 10th usual, all the attacks and weapon skill and everything is all included. So a Start Chainsword gives them a whopping 5 attacks each. Weapon skill 3 plus, strength 4 AP, minus 1 damage. Um, so nothing, shocking here. This is what we were expecting for chainswords. I believe we've seen them on something else too. Happy that they're keeping the AP, which is good. Mastercrafted power weapon again. I believe that's the sergeant guy. And then the power weapon is the standard power weapon that we've seen on other data sheets. 4 attacks this time, hitting on threes, strength 5, AP 2, and damage 1. So glad they combined the power weapon because now I can build some sword bros with the cool looking power maul and the cool power axes and not have to worry about the sword is just grossly better, right? Aaron, no lightning claws. No, unfortunately, they are seem to be missing from this data sheet here. So not sure why. Um, it might be a mistake. It might be intentional. We don't know. So we're gonna have to kind of wait and see what happens. It's not the biggest loss. I'm still glad they kept the Thunderhammer, obviously, um, because the Thunderhammer is pretty cool. Speaking of which, Thunderhammer, devastating wounds, 3 attacks, hitting on fours, strength 8, AP 2, damage 2. So it did lose a pip of damage, which we've talked about when we saw it previewed in another data sheet, and I can't remember which one off the top of my head. It might have been the captain. I think it was the captain, which is pretty disappointing. But at the same time, the Sword Brethren can make it damage 3. So, it's a great weapon in this for us. And our, Storm Shield, toting, Thunderhammer Terminators are still going to be good because as we've seen from the Terminator Deathwing data sheet, that the Storm Shield gives them +1 wound, which is pretty dope. So that combined with when we face a Psyker faction, we can really spill out a bunch of mortal wounds on them pretty easily, which is quite awesome. And we keep Oath of Moment, so when we're going to hit something really hard, that 4 plus, we can get full rerolls to hit and wound with that. So yeah, so that's the data sheet for the Primaris Sword Brethren that they previewed. I am super excited for what we're going to see in the weeks to come. I think GW has said, well, there's a supposed leak, like, what do you call it, roadmap that's out there of that they're actually going to release the data sheets uh, successively as we go, leading up to ninth. So we'll be able to see the entire faction's data sheets. Like we'll have everyone's, the whole game, everyone's data sheets will be free available prior to the launch of the Leviathan box, which is pretty cool. If that is true, we'll have to wait and see. Supposedly, the first one was on like June 2nd or 3rd, which is this weekend. Or maybe it's the 5th, I can't remember. It's early, it's coming up. By Monday, we'll know the answer if that was correct or not. But yeah, I'm super pumped. This is everything I could have hoped for our Black Templars sword brethren here, because I really wanted them to still be awesome because they are by far my favorite models uh, in all of 40K. And at the beginning, when we first got them, they were a little lackluster. And then when they got free war gear, they became baller. And so it seems like they're still going to be awesome. So I'm very, very pleased for that. I guess it's going to come down to points, obviously. Become uh, hopefully they don't become crazy high points. They're currently 22 points per model. I'm really hoping that points don't change too much, just because, um, you know, I really want them to still be one of the best units that we can take, as they should be. So, so yeah, I could see them going up to as much as maybe 30 points a model, which would be, if their war gear is free, I could probably live with that. Um, because Blade Guard at 35, they're now a lot more comparable. They both have 3 wounds. Um, Sword Brethren can deal out much more damage than they can. Um, so, uh, so yeah. Andrew asks, do we know what the keyword Tacticus does? So, from what I understand, they're going to use that to restrict you on where you can go in a transport. So, or maybe it could also be like leaders. Like leaders can join this Tacticus unit, right? Um, that's my understanding of what the Tacticus is probably going to be. They might, say, "Hey, you can fit this many Tacticus models in a Land Raider," or something like that. Um, let's see. Sammy says, "I'm cool that with Sword Brethren we'll have a very iconic, flavorful hammer to pair with the Anvil of Blade Guard." Yep, I agree. If Storm Shields give 1 wound more, will that make Blade Guard 4 wounds, or would theirs just give the save as normal? So that's a great question, Patrick. Um, it is my opinion that Storm Shields are going to do different things based on what unit they're on. And they're going to uh, be an invul for Blade Guard and Vanguard vets. And the reason that is because Terminators already have a 4 plus plus. So because they already have that 4 plus invul, they need to do something different. And +1 armor save just doesn't seem worth it, especially when you already have a 2 up. And you can only increase your armor save by 1 now. So if you're standing in cover with a storm shield, your storm shield is useless, or your cover is useless. They want to do something more meaningful. +1 wound is perfect and really good, and makes assault terminators with that. That actually makes up quite a bit of ground on um, the what you call it, the Thunderhammer going down a pip of damage. So yeah. Alex says Deathwatch Storm Shields became Astartes Shields for 4 plus plus. There you go. So that's what I suspect they'll probably say. Hey, Startish Shield is what it is. So they're going to rename it. So great call out there. Thank you, other Alex, alternate Alex. I kid, I kid. Um, hey, it's Bob. Sneaks into the stream while at work. What a champ. What a champ. Well, you've missed me gushing over Sword Bros and the new vows, Bob. Hopefully you've been watching longer than just now, but welcome nonetheless. So that's kind of where we're at on there. I was trying to look and see at some of these other data sheets to see if we see anything that is relevant to us. I didn't look too closely at them, to be honest. I looked at the Deathwing data sheet because I was interested in the Storm Shield and the Twin Lightning Claws. So their Twin Lightning Claws are 5 attacks on a Terminator, twin linked, which means you get to reroll the wounds as you do now. Hit on 3 is Strength 5, AP 2, Damage 1. So I really like. I assume that'll be the Assault Terminators will have the same thing. So really nice balance there between the Thunderhammer and Storm Shield and the Twin Claws. I think running a mix can work. I think running one or both of, one or the other of all of each would be good too. So we'll have to see how it shakes out when we see the full data sheet. So that is about all I have for you guys today. Um, thoughts, Andrew says, thoughts on losing Space Marine Forge World models. Ah, yes. The other big, the other big thing. James says he's gutted that Leviathan is Legends. Yeah, so I have some mixed feelings about this. So on the one hand, it kind of sucks. I have an unpainted Spartan and Leviathan that I would have loved to have painted up and used. Um, I have a Storm Eagle that I lovingly, painstakingly put together and built, which don't build a Storm Eagle for the love of God. Don't build a Storm Eagle. What a does yeah. I'm traumatized by building the Storm Eagle. However, I love the kit. I love the model. It's so beautiful. So I have it. It's sitting on my shelf, painted. Hasn't seen the table in all of ninth edition. Um, so I would have loved to have seen the table, at a tournament or something like that. Sadly, that's not going to be the case. So, am I disappointed? Yeah, a little bit. Um, but here's the thing: is they were they were basically legends for all of ninth edition anyway. The only things that they did in the Forge World units, especially the Space Marine ones, was update points. And even then, it wasn't a ton of updates for their points. Volkite Contemptors got nerfed. And other than that, they got some free war gear towards the end of ninth. And realistically, they didn't do much to them, if anything. So they were already basically legends. And so in that right, I'd rather GW had just ripped the band-aid off like they've done and say, listen, we're gonna legends these units. They're getting new rules for 10th versus, hey, here's your new Imperial Armor rules, and then they never ever get updated throughout the entire edition again. Um, that will that grinded my gears more than if GW had just come out in ninth and said, here's your IA rules, we're legending them all. Um, uh, that would have been a better solution, and that's what they're doing now. So I'm not nearly as salty as some of the community. There's a lot of people who are very very salty about this, and I understand if your favorite model is now suddenly Legends. But here's the thing: Legends are fully legal in all forms of play. They're not generally allowed in tournaments. So if you don't go to tournaments, then you can, uh, still use them in your regular games, including the GT books. So, so yeah. Retro Afro One says I'm liking a 20 blob of Crusaders with the Sovereign vow. That's gonna be dirty for sure. Crusaders, big Crusader blocks will also go well with the Uphold vow too because of the extra leadership, which will be nice. Patrick says, do we know if chaplains are attached to units yet? Death Company only cares about being near one, not connected. We haven't heard anything about chaplains. This is the first mention of a chaplain that we've seen in any rules. I cannot imagine chaplains will not be leaders. The reason is because lone operatives are basically sitting ducks. So unless they're like a backline sniper type unit, like a Vindicare that we saw, you really want your characters attached to units because it's not that hard, especially for us where we want to be within 12 inches of the enemy. Having a lone operative in the Black Templars is basically death for that model. So I cannot imagine a chaplain will not be able to attach to a unit. That's my opinion. What they'll do, we don't know. Gotta wait and see. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys again for Andrew for bringing up the Forge World bit. I had wanted to talk about that, and I got so excited about Black Templars that I forgot. So yeah, so that's kind of where we're at as far as our rules so far previewed. I'm really excited. Tell me down in the if you guys are watching this after the fact. Tell me down in the comments. What do you think? Are you excited as I am? Also, don't forget to check out our Discord. We have a really active group of people, a really great place to hang out and talk Black Templars. We have a Patreon as well. Special thanks to all of our Patreons, especially our Castellan members. We couldn't do this without you guys. We greatly appreciate your support. We have a lot of really cool Patreon benefits now, so come check that out. Soon, we're going to be having Patreon exclusive dice. They are nearing completion, so I can't wait to get these in hand and show you guys because they're going to be so cool. So check that out. Castellan members, can get them for free after a second month subscription, uh, which is uh, which is also very cool. Bob says Bob finally got people to agree to be on camera for bat raps. Yes, we're going to be hopefully having lots more content in 10th, including bat raps. It's something we've wanted to do for a while. It's just hard to coordinate and edit all that in addition to our regular videos and to work our day jobs. Unfortunately, it's just me and Bob, and I do all the editing. So, um, it's been a challenge for us to get that and kind of cut it down into something that's watchable, right? Nobody wants to sit for 4 hours and watch us just, shoot the shit. So yeah. Also head on over to baronofdice.com. Our dice are in stock, and use discount code IN40K down in the description if you need it to save a little bit of money and support us at the same time. Check out Baron of Dice for all your gaming needs. So, so yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. So enjoy the rest of your evening, day, afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you. And until next time, keep on crusading.